What are the different types of integration runtimes you are having?
We have three types of integration service.
Uh-huh.
That is Azure integration service, self-hosted, and uh,
SSIS.
Azure self-hosted, Azure
Okay.
SSIS.
Okay. So just one by one, go and explain in your own way so that we'll see how you people can give the answer. And explain them briefly.
if we are doing any type of that means transformation, we can say, or any activities we are performing, that is getting done within the Azure cloud itself, then in that case Azure integration service should be used. But in the case if we are trying to get the data from on-prem system and from on-prem system to cloud cloud system, in that case we can use self-hosted. So these are the two types that generally gets used in maximum places. And SSIS, I'm not very much sure about it. If anyone wants, can go
Yeah.
ahead.
So Razu is done. Anil, can you explain? I'll take your names. Anil, can you explain about IRs in briefly in your own
Yes,
way?
yes. Actually, we have three types of IaaS. Basically, we have Azure hosted and self-hosted, Azure based and self-hosted and SSIS. When it comes to Azure, right, if we are supposed to do the transactions within the Azure cloud, we can go for Azure hosted with auto self-resolve integration and then if it comes to that self-hosted area, we are supposed to use that if you are going to perform operations from on-premises to any cloud, that is Azure cloud. For hosted, when it comes to SSIS, say that one unable to connect it.
Okay. So Gabe, can you explain?
Yes, sir. Integration runtime is used for to bring this data, sir. In all integration runtime, the target data source is the same Azure storage only, but it's vary on the source. If the source data source is Azure, means it is Azure integration runtime. If it is a non-Azure, means it is a self-hosted. If it is on-prem, means SSIS.
Okay. So let's say, for example, I have a SSIS packages I wanted to execute in Data Factory. So how can we do it? If I have a SSIS packages, Gopi.
So
Like if I wanted, what is the purpose of SSIS? Did you explain about it?
if the
SSIS
data
IR.
source is in our on-prem and our target storage is in Azure, means so we are using this integration runtime SSIS.
No. Okay, so basically there are three different types of IRs, right? So one is Azure IR. So Azure IR is for reading data from Azure systems and loading into Azure systems. And self-hosted IR from on-prem to Azure IR, Azure storages. So to read data from on-prem, we used to go for self-hosted IR. And when you have a SSIS packages, if you wanted to get a runtime or if you wanted to execute your SSIS packages directly with Data Factory environment, then definitely you need to have a SSIS IR. But working with SSIS IR is not even 1% chances. So in my career, I did not come across it. So they will ask, did you use SSIS IR? You can say confidently no. If you really use it, then you can say if on what cases you are used, you can give the answer. But 99% people will never use it. Okay. Okay, so I have a table. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be back. Let's say I have a table, or let's take a table, employee number, e-name, job, salary, something like this it is having. Now I wanted to add a new column while loading the data into the table. So my target is something like this. I wanted to create a new column with copy activity. So is that possible to add a new column with copy activity? Can anyone give the answer?
I think no, sir.
We are pretty no.
Can you open your data factory? Everyone?
Yes, sir, open.
Check in your copy activity. Keep the copy activity and try.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I think we have one option that is additional columns.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, this will help us to do that.
You're able to see my screen, right?
Mm.
Yes, sir. It's you are in Notepad, right?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Notepad now.
Start.
Able to see data factory?
Yes, sir.
Okay, otherwise I will reset it. Let me stop and reset.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so some people, they used to ask this kind of questions. Okay, so you know the copy activity, how we can copy data from the one place to other place. But when the moment they ask them, you may feel like that is something else which is not come across. Okay, so that kind of chances there is a chances to face. So to avoid that, I'm just going to take you through. Let's take customer. Where is the output? I think I don't have that data set. Let me take same input customer only. So when you come down, somewhere you can find additional columns. When you go for import,
It was there during source. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. In the source, there is a option to add a new column here. Yeah. So this place. So add new columns, you can add the column names here. When you're reading the data from the source, then there is a chances to use it. And even if you wanted to know the file path also. So you can get to know from which file you're reading the data by using this file path. There is a predefined variable we're having. And we can have options. To get the file path, you can take the file path as it is. And there is a file name. If you want to know if you are reading data from too many files, then you can get to know what file you are taking it. Or if you wanted to add a new column, then you can take a column and column name and column value you can specify here. Okay, so since my connectivities are not available, I'm not able to show this one, but basically we are going to get an options to write an expression here. And you can enter the value. You can try.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so by using the additional columns, depends on the requirement, we can add where we can use the file name, we can get it and we can take the file path. And even if you wanted to go for custom, and you can choose the custom here, custom column name, custom value, you can provide it. Okay, so column is going to take the same existed column, you can duplicate if you wanted to duplicate it. So let's say, for example, employee number, I wanted to give 2 times. Then you can give just for understanding, for interview point of view only. In my case, I did not come across this at the time of working, but there is a chances to ask some questions in the interview. So you should be aware of it. So that is about this additional column, so we can add it. And if I wanted to skip the row count, then I can skip it. You may be aware of it. And you can use the recursively. Let's say, for example, for some network reason that copy activity is getting failed. So that we can make it reiterate by using this recursively. Okay, so I think recursively, not this one. So it is going to go through the folders. If you are given a folder, so subfolders will be read when you use this recursively. By default, it is going to have it. Somewhere you have a retry option. Yeah, here it is. So if you wanted to make it 2 times retry when it is failed for some reason, then you can use this retry option. So retry option is available for copy data activity. Okay, so that one point you have to keep in mind here. And retry interval second, how many seconds you wanted to wait, you can specify. Source side is important, is additional columns that you can keep in mind. I'm just taking out here. Sync side, if you want to add any column and value, you can take it a metadata, but I did not much aware of this one. Specify the custom metadata with metadata key value. So I don't need to have it. And in the import schemas, you can have a column to column mapping. And again, the settings also is little important here. Like most of the times we are going to give it to auto because we are not sure about how much volume of the data we are reading today. Okay, so because of that reason, we are always going to give a chances to the data factory itself. So maximum data integration units. How many data integration units are required that you're going to specify? So if you are sure about your data, how data you're going to get, then you can specify this. If you wanted to learn more about this DIUs, that means data integration units. So if you have a more data integration units, then the cost will go more. So it's all depends on this only. The cost, depends on the number of DIUs, it is going to change the cost. So if you give a auto, if you have a less volume of data, it takes less compute. If you have a more volume of data, then it takes more compute when it is having an auto. But if you take from our side, like 32, we are wasting the resources, right? So the cost will go increase. So you have to take a decision. And mostly we don't come across this. We always going to use auto. And degree of copy parallelism. So I wanted to copy the data parallelly. So if you wanted to increase the degree of copy parallelism, then you can choose this particular option. This is also recommended to have a auto. So if you're sure about anything, then you can try with the different runs, with the different parallelism degree, then you can try and you can decide what number is suitable for you. But the best is always just take a auto. Auto is the recommended option. Okay, so they will ask how can you improve the performance of copy data. So you can say about it. We have a degree of copy parallelism where we can increase the copy parallelism to improve the performance. But basically, we used to take a auto. We are giving a we are leaving this particular activity to the data factory itself to decide how much parallelism is required. So they will expect these properties, whether you are aware of this property or not. So this is the data consistency verification. I think it was already by default, it was checked. And fault tolerance. So when selecting this option, you can ignore some errors occurred in the middle of the copy process. Incompatible rows between source and destination, store file being deleted during the, okay. So when there is a failures, basically it is going to ignore it if you choose this option, false tolerance. So if you wanted to skip your incompatible rows, you can skip it, skip missing files. We have multiple options, but we don't go for, I'm not sure, we didn't come across to use this particular option, but we have a fault tolerance also. So enable logging is also available. If you wanted to enable the log, you can keep the log in some place to go through that. So that is also available. And apart from that, there is a enable staging. Basically, this enable staging is going to be helpful when you're using a target is a like database, especially Azure Data Warehouse or Snowflake as a destination, then you can stage the data for some time. So in that case, there is a chances. So that one also will be useful. Like you have to provide the staging details, you can stage the data. So just give some options. At least if you know these options, we have a settings for copy data activity to increase the performance. That's more enough. Okay, so these points just keep in mind. Okay, so I'll give one task, just try from your side. I think that sample data I have it. One of the student asked me that entire note also is having a task what they're expecting. I hope you people can do it. You can feel that it is like a mini project in the data factory. Okay, can you just try? I'll try to get that note and sample data. So the intention of that is basically they're getting a files in zip folder. So they're making a zip. The data is getting zipped. So when the data was zipped, then how can you read the data from there? So I wanted to read the data from all the files. So to read the data from the files, you have to use the copy activity, right? You have to copy the files from one place to other place. Okay, so what you have to do is whatever the zip folder I am going to share with you, keep that in a input directory. Keep that in a input directory, and you have to extract first. You have to extract these files. You have to unzip the files first. You have to unzip the folder. Okay, after unzipping the folder, then you have to read the data as a files into the target. You're getting my point, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that exercise really is, I like that exercise. One of that exercise was use case for her. So after my sessions, I did it. Okay, so I just gave an idea. We have to unzip it. We have the options to unzip it. I mean, within the what I can say with copy data activity, not with copy data activities. I use something. If I'm correct, it is a copy data. So when you go for where is that? In the source, there is a chances to have. When I'm looking into that general. Look at the data set level. Yeah. So once while creating a data set, you can see the compression type. So compression type, you have to choose what type of compression you're having. Okay, so if there have, I think it is a zip or some extension I'm having. That extension I'll give. Depends on the extension. You have to take the compression type here. Okay, so based on that, you have to unzip it. So at the data set level, you have to define. So automatically it is going to unzip that folder, and then you can see the list of files to copy from one place to other place. So you just try from your side, and if at all, if you're facing an issue, I'll help you on it. Okay, so I hope you people can give the answer for copy data activity for any type of question. Okay. Now I'll give a scenario based question. Like I have a data in the source, which is having massive volume of data. How can you design a pipeline to read data from source to target? Can anyone give explanation about it?
Sir, same thing, but here we should enable the parallelism.
Okay. Apart from that,
So the data is in form of file or table, sir?
it's a table only. Only
If
single table I'm just talking.
Okay, if it is from a table,
Mhm.
then we can also yeah. First of all, parallelism before parallelism. One more thing we can focus if the table is partitioned or not. If the partition is coming into picture, then while we are thinking about this and the destination table loading, so there also we should apply partition. So that, I just wanted to focus on the thing is that partitioning should come into picture during load as well.
That is true. So if table is partitioned in the source, and that is going to be beneficial. If the table is not partitioned, if we give the answer, I mean, if you give in a way, we can use the partition capabilities. But definitely they will ask again cross question. We don't have a partitions in the source. If you have a partition, yes, we can take the data partition wise faster. What if there is no partitions in the table?
In that case, sir, this incremental loading feature that using a metadata table, if the data is there, then just skip that. If data is not there, then in that case only you should go for update or insert.
Okay.
Incremental loading.
Okay. Pavitra, do you want to explain about it? In your own way. He explained. Pavitra, is there?
Hello.
Yeah, Pavitra. Do you want to explain how can we design a pipeline for this kind of requirements?
Sir.
So the reason why I'm asking everyone is everyone has their own word framing. Okay, so when I ask others, do not feel that you have given wrong answer. It is the correct answer only. But I'm expecting to get the answer from everyone in their own way. Yeah, Pavitra. How can you do it if you get this kind of requirement?
I think parallelism is the best option, but if we don't have that one, we can do normally as usual what we are doing, right, sir?
That's what I'm asking. Apart from the parallelism, what ways are there to, like, how can you convince your interviewer when the interviewer asks? You have to give a multiple options, right? If you take this option, you will get. If you take this one, this you will get.
Yeah, when
So
we have
for
massive value of data,
Mhm.
first we will structure the data. If there is any duplicate records or anything, means we will remove that one and we will do that.
Okay.
And we correctly structure the format of the data as well. That is data transformation.
Mhm. But
And we
here,
will,
but here they're expecting all the data, all the structured data they're having because it is a database. Okay. So you have to read the data from the database itself. It's a business system.
Yes.
All the data is right data only. Just imagine. In that case, how can you give?
the target data is empty or is there any records?
Target data, say first time when you're doing a first time, the target is always empty only, right?
Yeah, we will go for full loading.
Will you go for every time full loading?
No.
ACD type incremental loading. ACD type 1 incremental loading.
Okay. So before Pavitra, who explained about this answer? Anil or
Rajendra.
Rajendra? Okay. So Rajendra has given good options. Okay, so I'm just expecting from others also. Is there any other options? Okay, so how you can give the answer? Like, Rajendra already gave the answer. How smooth we can give the answer on top of Rajendra. You got my point, right? So answer is same, but how you are presenting is important. Did you get my point? So basically, this kind of questions, see, if they give a task directly, you people can do it. Okay, so if they give this kind of questions, then you may get some confusion. Okay, so first you have to think whenever you're going to get a new requirement, in general, we are going to think first step that you are going to do is a data discovery. You have to discover the data. You have to understand the data. Okay, so 99% is you never get the data from a single table. Okay, so you may have a multiple tables. So that is one thing you have to think about it. If it is a single table, then it's going to reduce a little burden for us. And even if it is a single table, if you have a massive volume of data, but still you have to do the data discovery. So what does it mean by data discovery? Whenever you're going to get requirement. So data discovery means you have to identify, is there a table or tables? First thing. And then you have to cross verify columns, data types, because your source is, just imagine, in my case, we are using we are using Oracle database. Oracle database we are using, and my final target is, that is goal layer. The goal layer we are using is like this follows MySQL standards. So data types here is little different and here it is little different. So forget about at this point of time here. So data types you need to see it. Let's say, for example, if you have a varchar here, then it is a string here. We are going to see very soon in the Databricks how we can harvest data types when you compare with the source and target. And the next thing that you have to say is size of the data. You don't go directly to design the pipeline. You have to explain about this. When if they say there is a massive volume of data, then just go and bring it. You don't go and bring it. You have to understand. So how much size is there? That means how many columns are there, how many number of records are there, and is there a date column or not? You are going to check it. Check filter columns. So if you're not aware of it, check with the business. Ask them, is there any filter column? If you can identify the filter column, then you can go for incremental loading. If you don't identify the filter column, then you cannot go for incremental loading. Because every time if you read, let's say I have a 50 millions of data in the source, every day you're not going to read all the 50 millions. One time you're going to read it. From next time, you're going to use IL, but you need to have a filter columns. So filter column means there should be some date column is required. So date column is required, then only we can go for IL. Otherwise, we cannot go for IL. Okay, so let's say sometimes what happens is when there is an update in the source, this date column may not be updated. So they're saying that you can use that particular date column to filter it for incremental loading, but unfortunately, if it is not capturing, then again there will be a data problem. So you have to check this one. Okay, I'll come to that point. You just imagine if you have a filter column, then you can go for that, and also you have to check key columns. So what is key columns? When you're taking data from the database, then definitely you have to check the key columns, something like your primary keys. So what is a primary key? So the primary key that you are going to check based on your target. Your source primary key and target primary key may not be same. Okay, so your source is having something that you may not consider in the target. You may have a combination of the columns as a primary key in the target. Okay, so your target, we are going to feel there is a primary key, but exactly there will be no primary key. But we are going to behave. Okay, so I wanted to take the unique records into the goal layer in the key wise, because we are going to maintain a schema here. So you'll be having a dimension tables, fact tables. There will be no relationship, but we are going to think there is a relationship. Just thinking. So you have to keep the unique records here. You need to have a key column. Then only the reporting team takes the data from here and they will make a relationships easily. So for that reason, we required a key columns. And if you wanted to go for SCD type 1 and type 2, then definitely you need to have a key columns. Without key columns, you cannot do it. So you have to identify the key columns. These are all before doing the development, you're going to do it. So once you have done this, then you decided what type of load we require. Okay, so you can decide. Depends on the size of the data. If you have a, we are keeping that if you have a data 10 millions around, then we don't need to go for IL, even if there is a date column. We can directly go for FL. FL means full loading. Okay, so we have a capability to decide. Or if you're having a data architects, they're going to decide. But basically, mostly data engineers are going to decide what type of load we need to go. We can discuss within the team lead or something like that. Then we can decide what type of load we can go for that. So if it is a full load, every day you have to read it. Every day if you read 50 millions, then it is going to bad practice. Okay, if you have a less volume of data, that is fine. If you have a more volume of data, then definitely you have to go for IL only. Let's say if there is no date column. So immediately they're going to say that I don't have a date column. I don't have a date column. So in that case, how can you handle it?
We will go for SCD type ones.
Yeah. So in copy data, there is a in copy data activity, we are going to have what is that? I forgot the naming standard. Upsert is there. Just search, take a target as a database in the copy data activity. Check, there is an option called upsert. By using the upsert, we can go directly with copy data activity itself. That is one option. Another option is we can go for CDC, change data capture in the data flow. So it's in a preview mode. Okay, so this upsert is also like a merge statement only. Okay, so same as like your CDC. Okay, so automatically it is going to update it. You just try with copy data activity, whatever we have done in a SCD type 1. SCD type 1 is we need to go for transformations. I don't want to go for transformations and all. I wanted to do it very easily. Then you can have a one option with upsert and other is with a CDC. Okay, so like this, we have a multiple options are there. If you have a too many records and I have a date, I have a date column, I have many records. You don't go for SCD type 1 directly, and you don't go for this one or this one. 100% you are going to use IL. If you have a manageable number of records, then you can go for it. If you don't have a date column. If you have a date column, try to go with first incremental loading, followed by SCD type 1 and type 2 implementations. You don't send all the data because I have a data in the source 50 millions, but out of 50 millions, only 5 records are updated. So why we need to send 5 records to SCD type 1? If you send it, it kills the performance, right? So you have to apply first incremental loading. Then you will get 5 records only. So those 5 records only you are going to give it to SCD type 1 or SCD type 2. So it's simple, right? It will be very faster.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
But if
Could you
you
repeat
give
that?
this entire 5 records directly to upsert, or if you give it to CDC, then it kills the performance. If you give a CDC, then it is having a capability to it will identify. It is having a capability to identify there are only 5 records because some checkpoints are going to store somewhere. So based on that, it is going to take only 5 records. But this is a little costly operation, if I'm correct, because in my experience, I use this one in SSIS, but not in a data factory. In data factory, it is in a preview mode. So I can give an idea. We have a CDC option to implement it, and we have a if you don't have a date column, then you can go for CDC, and if we have a primary key also, we can go for incremental loading. If you have a primary key also, we can try implementing with IL. Now that time we are going to take a filter column as a primary key column. You can attempt it, or you can go for CDC. If you're not interested to go with the CDC, then copy data itself is having a merge operation. That supports only for SCD type 1, not SCD type 2. Even this one also is not SCD type 2. Okay, so just give an options so that they feel you are aware of all these areas, and it doesn't mean that we need to work in all the places.
Yes, sir. Actually, we don't have that column. Okay.
Okay.
As we mentioned last time, we are using triggers also, right? The tumbling trigger will not work.
Tumbling window trigger is required date. Tumbling window we can use it, but like every 5 minutes it is going to read the data from the source, but you need to have a date column for that also.
Okay, that means it will not collect the system date then. We require date column for that also. Tumbling window.
Tumbling window also will not work. If you have a date, then it is going to work.
Okay.
Okay. So mostly you can talk about this. If you don't have a date, then just talk about the situations. Okay, I work with only this option only and SCD type 1, but SCD type 1 I implemented only after implementation of after implementation of IL. When we have a less volume of data, we went for loading completely truncate and load, full loading. Okay, so other question is, I have a job. So job, when I say job means pipeline. Okay. Every day pipeline is running successfully. And suddenly or one fine day it was failed. What can you do it? What can you do if the pipeline is failed? What is your approaches?
We should see the logs why it is failed.
Where do you see?
We might be having logging tables by a procedure that is getting populated. So from the table, at least we'll come to know what is the
First
exact
of all,
failure.
how do you know that is failed?
Yeah, if a job is getting failed, generally what we can do, one mail should trigger if anything is getting failed. So mail will be the source from where we'll come to know that something has failed.
Okay, good. So that is how. So we are all working. We are not going to monitor the jobs. Okay. So if you trigger the mail, then only we can get to know there is a failure happen. Then you are going to look into it. So first is you have to get the alert. So based on that alert, you are going to look into that. So if it is network failure, then you are going to restart, or you will be having a retry option also. And if it is failed for some reason, then you have to whatever the reason, you have to look into the log also. So when you see the log, then you can get to know what was the reason, and those details also we can get in the email also. Okay, so exception handling. If you remember, we talked about exception handling, right? So which task is making a problem, that details we can capture into the email. So we can see that in the email, and if you're not able to get it in an email, then we can see in a log table also. Okay, so that is how we are going to do it. We are going to start looking it. And I faced one question when I attempted recently. The question is, you designed one pipeline and it was tested. That means unit testing is done by you. It was succeeded. And then it went for testing team. And they also tested, everything is fine. Then it went to the production. Okay. But The problem is your pipeline is not getting the data, and there is a sum pipeline. There is a sum pipeline in the production. Is making a problem to your pipeline. Okay, so that you have not identified in the development at the time of unit testing, and that was not identified by the testing team also. It went to the production, your pipeline, and when it was running in the production, and some pipeline is making a problem to your pipeline. You're trying to take the data from one table, and your pipeline is taking data from here, but unfortunately, some pipeline is taking out the data from this table. Some existed pipeline is taking out the data from this table. Then how can you handle this kind of situations? Did you change the things in this pipeline, or what is your approach? How you can solve this problem?
Well, first of all, we need to identify from which source table we are trying to pick the data, and what is the dependency with this table. That means which other pipeline is using or removing data based upon the dependent table. So if we'll come to know which other pipeline that is removing the data from this table, then we can identify. But I'm not sure about how from which source we can identify what is the dependency based upon this table. If any metadata is getting maintained inside Azure ADF, I don't have any idea. But
Okay.
this will be how the approach from my side.
Okay. Now tell me, is problem here or here? First question. Where is the problem?
Sir, problem may be based upon timing. It may be, for example, after the latest pipeline which is throwing error, it should read the data from the table. Then only cleaning activities should perform. Maybe it is based upon the sequencing or timing.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe
Anyone
that
else? Anyone else can give the answer? How can we provide the solution for this situation? So this kind of questions depends on the some experience you are going to get. This will not get by just taking a training. You got my point, right? You know how to do it, but you don't know the actual situation is to handle it. Is anyone wants to give the answer? Otherwise, I'll give the answer. Okay, so here it is, these two pipelines are tightly coupled. You have to break it. So that means you have to decouple it. If you decouple it, then there will be no issue. Because we have a dependency here, so it is doing something on top of our whatever the table that you are using. Okay, so if you can decouple it, then definitely you can get the solution. So whatever the logic they're using, so the same logic that you have to implement here, and we are not going to have any dependency on it. So when you decouple it, then we can easily get the data. And we are not supposed to remove this. So saying that the issue is not in the existed pipeline, the issue is in your pipeline. Because this was already there in the production. When it was there in the production, it was the requirement. First, we need to understand why they're taking out the data from the table. Maybe that was the requirement. You have to understand it. Okay, so once you get to know that this is as per the requirement, and this is a new pipeline, so new change, right? So you have to decouple and you have to work on it. You're not supposed to take the data from here. Your requirement is fine, but data is not supposed to take from there. You have to take it from somewhere else. So somewhere else means you have to prepare your own data for this. You have to apply the logic. So coupling and decoupling is required. Okay, so simple answer is we should not modify anything for existed pipeline as it is there in the production. If it is not there in the production, then both together we can work and we can fix it. I mean, if it is there in a development. But if it is already there in a production, we are not supposed to touch that. We have to touch this only. Okay, so we have to decouple and provide the solution. Simple answer. Okay. Did you clear or any doubt here?
Yes, sir, clear. We need to simply remove the
Yeah.
dependency.
Yeah, we have to remove the dependency.
Interesting, sir.
Yeah,
Teamwork.
that is true. Because we are not going to be decision makers, right? So he asked me, how can you decide to decouple the dependency? He asked me. Then I gave the answer because it was there in a production. We are not supposed to do, or we are not supposed to touch the existed process until unless there is a specific reason. So if it is coming through the requirement, then we can also touch that pipeline. But if it is not coming, then definitely you have to keep that in mind to decouple it, because even in my current project we used dimensional modeling. Okay, so the dimensional modeling is in one more situation I have used this decoupling extensively. When you have a schema, okay, so when you're loading the data into a dimension table, or when you're loading the data into the fact table, especially when you're loading the data into the fact table, this is the dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3, dimension 4, and dimension 5. So after loading all the dimensions, we used to load the data into the fact table. So what initially we did is, we joined all the dimension tables and then we load the data into this place. Okay, so at the time of development, it was fine. But when it is testing, in the testing phase that was identified, so some columns or some rows may not load here. Okay, so let's say for example, some location is not loaded here. So if it is not available location for that, then definitely that record is not going to be available here. The intention of this modeling that we are taking is, we wanted to, you may have a dimensions late arriving dimensions, but I wanted to see the location is available, the transaction is available, but in appropriate dimension table, it is not available. Okay, so if we join these tables to load the data into this table, then there is a problem with the data. So because we tightly coupled it. Joins means we are joining means we are dependency are there in all these dimension tables. It's a tightly coupling. So we decoupled it. So decoupled means we have taken out the joins. And then we're just dumping the data. The relationships and all, the reporting team will take care about it. We don't need to worry from our side. So in that way, we provide so that they can understand which transaction is not having a product or which transaction is not having a location. So they will work on it, they will make it available. Okay, so that is one of the requirement we used to decouple it. So dependency, the process of removing the dependency is nothing but a decoupling. Did you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so many things you can easily do it. Okay, so how about Python? People who are doing a practice. If you can follow my training properly, I'm sure you can give the answer easily. Just think about it. If they're asking a situational based questions, so what was the situation and let's break them into pieces and try to give the answer. Okay, especially if you have a more 10 plus years of experience, so more chances to face situational based questions in a manager round. If it is a technical, they will ask a technical question and technical answer. Okay, how you are practicing? How is your practice on Python?
Yeah, frankly speaking, I have not started, sir.
Okay, you need to start doing a practice. Otherwise, once we start the Databricks, in the mid of this week, we are going to start talking about Databricks. So you feel difficult. At least one time, if you practice, that's more enough. Okay, so that is one thing.
Sir, any video that will help us to install the required software for Python?
Okay, so it's very simple. Do you want to install anyone connected with laptop and anyone is not installed except Pavitra? Pavitra is already having all the setup.
I have not installed. If you
Yes,
will
sir.
allow me the control, I'll share my screen.
Yeah, that is better. Raju, right?
Yes.
You can share your screen. I'll tell you. So everyone can also do it, the same thing.
Is my screen is visible now?
Not it. Yeah, now it is visible. Can you go to the Google and search for Python download?
Yes, sir.
First link.
Mm.
And
Download
there is a downloads, is there, right? Downloads
this one, no?
on top. Yeah, that is also is the latest version. You can also take that. Take it, hit on it.
Yeah.
Open it. Can you share the entire screen so that people can easily follow? Can you stop and reshare?
Share entire screen. It's the same or how it is, sir?
Yeah, it's fine. Now it's correct. So install now. Select install now.
Okay. You want to?
Yes, you just press yes. Close this. Undownload అనుకుండా
This one, sir?
Yeah, download అనుకుండా. And skip registration. There is a skipped registration. little down, below the submit. Skip registration. And come little down here. Come little down. There is a Windows installer.
Sure.
Yeah. Take that.
These are what the pipelines I've created so far.
Okay, perfect. So practice is very, very important.
Few parts of in ADF I'm pending, so I'll be finishing maybe today.
Okay.
It's downloading very slowly.
So how is the training? You people are able to follow with me?
Yes, sir. You are very punctual enough, sir. You are just behind us. You are. That means you are not letting us to go. That's not like taken for granted. You just do the course, but you are behind us, so that we should complete our practicals. We
Yes.
should be in the flow. That is what the great thing.
Yeah, that is
You
true.
are following us. Otherwise,
Otherwise, because most of you people are working, right? So we will be occupied with some other activities. So
yes, sir.
if I trigger you, then you will start working on it, definitely. So even me also. If someone is there, if someone is asking our work status, then only we should make it
Get
little
motivated.
faster. That's true.
I think in between some in WhatsApp group, some message came to came related giving feedback. Yeah, from my side I have given. Yes. So mentioned, yes, our sir is very much punctual.
Oh, okay, great.
In the same time, even my wife is attending a course in AWS.
Okay.
I am observing the mentor or the teacher sometimes skipping the classes. But so far I have never seen symptoms like that from you. So that is very motivating because even you are also working in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock, you are getting ready and you are trying, you are
Yeah.
behind us. So that is quite promising and motivating.
Yeah.
Everyone is working, everyone is working hard. But even though the way you are showing your interest, rather we should be interested to learn, but you are more interested to give or pass the knowledge to us. So that is not a small thing. It's really great.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Yeah.
that. And if your blessing will be there, we will grow.
Definitely, definitely. You will grow and I'll grow by you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, can you open that exe file now?
Yeah,
First one. Yeah.
I think so it is
Anaconda.
going.
Anaconda.
Yeah. It's going on already.
I think it was done.
There it was going done. Yes. I think some part is pending, sir.
It is opened, I guess. In the taskbars you can see.
Yes. Next.
Agree. Next. Install. Just leave it everything. Install. Do you have other drive apart from the C?
To see. And even We'll keep it in if anytime we are formatting, that will create problem. Yes.
There is this PC. Hit on it.
Yeah.
This PC. Okay, that's fine. So let's go inside the C drive and create one folder. Inside C drive, create one folder. Create one folder. You can give your name Python by Raju or something. You can give some name or Python. Anything is fine. Python practice, whatever. Yeah. So that is fine. That is one thing. And let's say once the installation is completed, we are going to keep all our Jupyter notebooks in this path.
Actually, sir, along with me, first I contacted, and also I included one of my colleague in this class. You might
Okay.
know him. His name is Mrutunjay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is true.
He had some problem.
Yeah. He talked with me.
He was having some. His mother was having some
Yeah.
issue, so he disconnected. Maybe he will be coming
Yeah,
back.
he connected. He asked me already. I asked him to I'll give a chance to attempt another batch. I told him.
Yeah. Sir, in your opinion, what will the future of IT industry, sir? Because
So
the things are going very bad.
yeah, of course. The very bad is for the people who are having 40 plus LPA. That is one thing.
Mm.
At least 35. You can just make a threshold up to 35. So the people who are having more than 35 is in the dangerous zone. Okay, so even when I try to change, my CTC was 42, and I am not getting much more calls. Okay, so I was not getting much more calls, and one of my previous organizer only rehired me by giving only 45. So I did not force them to increase. I did not force them to demand because I know the market trends.
Correct, sir.
Okay, so we have to adjust that.
Yeah, the situation.
Yeah, so I just asked them, it was 42, and I'm expecting 42 as a fixed and go with 3 LP as a variable. So they accepted, and that's fine. Okay, so I accepted and I joined there also. But like if you have a more cities, then definitely there is a dangerous zone, and you need to have a good skill set. And this particular time, from December to March ending or April, it's a dry period for recruitment mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, so once this dry period is completed, at least the shuffling will start because some people will get hiked, some people will not get hiked, so they will disappoint and they will start searching and shuffling will happen. So in that case, in that particular point of time, if you have a good skill set, you can take that opportunity. Okay, so that is one thing. And other thing is when it comes when you compare across the IT, data engineering professions positions are more. Okay, so when you take a in my previous organization, there were 28 members in the team. So in one umbrella, but there are sub teams are there for different products, but we're all together as an entire team. And out of 28, I've seen for every 4 teams are there within the same within one umbrella. For 4 teams, there is only 2 DevOps team members for all the people. Only
Okay.
2 DevOps teams, 2 members. So out of 28, minus 2 is 26, right? And out of 26, for every team, there is a 2 testing members. Okay, so how many there? 4 means 4 multiplied by 2. So 8. Totally 10 members are non-data engineering professionals. Okay, so total 10 members. But rest of the members are completely data engineers. Finish it. Okay, so data engineering positions are more. You can close this window. And this one also. Now, do one thing. You just go to your search button. Search for Jupyter. And right click on a Jupyter notebook and open a file location. Okay, so can you go to, you created one folder, right? Can you go to that Python folder? Left side. Take that path of the folder. Copy that. Go to your Jupyter notebook path. Right click on the Jupyter notebook. Properties. In the target, there is a percentage user profile, is there, right? And at the end,
Yes, sir.
percentage user profile. Just take out that percentage also.
Okay.
Just keep your path. Just paste it here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Hit apply. Hit apply first.
Yeah, I applied.
Okay. Now just open Jupyter notebook again from the search.
So, already here.
No, you can close this. This time, open it. Open Jupyter notebook. 5 minutes.
Coming like this.
There is a one, it's popping up. Just open it. Open Chrome with Chrome. Always. Take always. Yeah, that's fine. So whenever you open Python, I mean Jupyter notebook, you have to open in that way. And I think you have given a Python also, right? Can you create a one notebook here? Just try creating a notebook here.
Here, this create
There
account.
is not that one. Close that. There is a yeah. There is a top little light, little left side. Anaconda stent left side. There is a close. Little up. Slowly, little.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. So just hit on the file. Create notebook. Yeah. You can just say select. Now you can write a. You can save this. You can write some statement here and save it. So there is untitled. You can give a title also. Jupyter untitled is there on the top. Yeah. You can just hit on untitled. You can rename it. Okay. Now save it, Control S, and check in your Python folder. Okay.
So what is this actually, sir?
This is a notebook.
Okay. Oh, in this
Okay, so
notebook
yeah,
only we'll
whatever you have done, you can do practice here. All Python you can do practice. Okay, so you can run it, or you can use Shift Enter also.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
This is how we need to do practice. But basically, as a data engineer, you may not use the Jupyter. Okay, so when people are going to use the Jupyter is like if you're going to work with Apache Spark, there is a chances to use the Jupyter or some other IDEs in the market. But since we're going to work as a data engineer, Azure data engineer, so definitely it will be Azure Databricks. So that we are going to see. For all your Python practice, you can do from here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then I'm stopping here, guys. I have some work. I have to go outside, and just complete your all Python practice, and we'll talk about tomorrow tuple and tuple functions, and then set functions. So next 3 to 4 days, we're going to talk with Python only. Okay, we'll see you on
Okay.
tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
Have a nice weekend, sir.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
All should have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.